me just pop on some music. Well, that'll give people time to come in. And I'm going to go in here to Facebook and I'm going to tag you. Let me just pull it up. There we go. It takes a couple of minutes for people to get in. We have been severely shadow banned on Facebook, and it's, I think because of the engagement, we've kind of bounced back from it a little bit, but we still got a ways to go. People have been real good about showing up and sharing. Okay, boom. Just tagged you. All right, share. Boom. All right. Okay. All right, we got everything shared out and we're ready to roll. Let me just kill the music. Welcome, everybody. We are live. It's our first of 2 shows today. We're still getting shadow banned on Facebook. If you don't mind, if it resonates with you, if you could share it to one page or to a group, that'd be great. We are starting to push back against the algorithm, so maybe they'll lift the restrictions. We're also live on YouTube, Soulogy One Studios. You can see us there. We have a new friend in the house, and we have a little different spin than the normal shows. Our friend is Bliss, a brother from the West Coast. Are you in Canada or are you in California? I can't remember.
No, I'm in Washington State.
You're in Washington State, yeah.
I live on an island off the coast of Seattle.
What is that island? I was up there summer of 24. I was up there. I was in Blaine.
Oh yeah, that's up on the border. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the border.
This is just off the coast of Seattle. It's called Whidbey Island, and it's about 60 miles long, and it's heaven.
Wow. Well, that area up there is heaven, in its own way. I enjoyed it. I was up there for 33 days. At what is it? Freedom Peace Arch Park, the park where Canadians can meet. Yeah, they can meet with the people from the Canadian side can meet with the people from the American side. That was quite an experience we had over there. Then I tried to cross the border, and that was very interesting. But so we're here with our friend Bliss. He's the author of a book that was channeled to him, that was transmitted to him. We're going to talk about that. Sirians are involved. But yeah, we're going to get to know him a little bit first. You know how it goes here. We're not in any rush, no rhyme, no worries. I don't know if you've watched much of the show. The way this all started was Bliss reached out to me by email and asked me if I'd be interested in reading his book. And yeah, I'm always interested in looking at things. And then I said, do you want to come on and talk about it? So he agreed to do that. And there's the book. Hang on, back this way. This way. There you go. I can pull up the image too. Yeah, and we'll talk about that. First, and this might lead right into it, but the famous question on the show is, did you have a wake-up experience, or have you always been this weird?
Well, I'll start back from the beginning. So I am a Lemurian star priest living on Lemuria for thousands of years, and I was the lead. Well, how it connects up to today is that back when Atlantis and Lemuria were in the process of going through these energy changes, and the reason why Atlantis was messing around with the energies, with Earth with energies, and they caused this major disruption in the energy field, in the shift. They were causing a polar shift to happen, and those in Lemuria, Lemuria is more the feminine energy, and Atlantis is more the masculine energy, and we were trying to get them to stop doing what they were doing, but they wouldn't stop, and we knew it was bad. And so we started working with Pleiadians and other and other ETs were coming onto the planet because they knew it was really bad as well. And I was the lead star priest who led the rituals we did in order to rescue the planet from them. And if we weren't able to succeed in creating the catastrophe that happened, the sinking of Atlantis and Lemuria, but we were able to save the Earth. If we hadn't done what we did, the Pleiadians told me that the Earth would not exist during that time. It would have fallen off its axis and just not existed anymore. So we were so grateful, and there's these master crystals, mostly in Arkansas, major master crystals that are there, and they really helped us. So I came onto the planet 50 years ago as a walk-in. I didn't come in as a baby. I came in as a 21-year-old. The person who was in this body before, he agreed to leave, and then I stepped in, and that was all prearranged ahead of time. And so I started. I didn't know who I was at that time, but when I turned like 22, I had to start meditating. I just had to, and it was so natural for me. The first meditation I did, I experienced peace and calm in my body for the first time, because the person whose body I took over had a very violent childhood, and that's the body I wanted to take over, because I needed to learn how to heal the 3D physical body. And that's then it started as soon as I came in. And again, that was about 50 years ago. So, and I didn't really learn who I was until about 10 years ago.
So you had, and just so you know, I don't know if you're familiar with the show. This conversation, this type of situation is not out of the ordinary with guests that we've had, even with myself. There's a reason that we're doing this at this time. There's a lot of signs that have come in, a lot of information that's come around in that synchronistic cyclical fashion. And I'm speaking directly of Sirius, Orion, the cluster of its belt, Aldebaran, Pleiades, and a few other places on Earth, which is what you're touching on, which is where I've touched on, and this is Lemuria in the island of Kauai, Arkansas, on the top of a couple of mountains, as well as Atlantis in the southeast U.S. So I have a feeling there's going to be quite a bit of participation from the soul families in this regard. But just to be clear, so you, and this again is something that's not out of the ordinary with the folks that come on this show, whether they've had an expanded version of themselves walk in or an actual walk in, like in your situation. So your situation is you kind of had a wake up. You had, well, like all of us, you had a bunch of wake ups. but even regardless of your circumstances as the walk in, it sounds like you really woke up 10 years ago. Like you really said, wait a minute, something's going on here. Is that right?
Well, it's true, but as soon as I came in, I had this compulsion. I had to increase my consciousness. I mean, I was anything that ringed of higher consciousness, studying Carl Jung, anything, I grab it. I just had to have it. You know, it was like my life. And I meditated every single day, my whole life, for at least an hour. And I loved being in nature. I was out in nature all the time and whatever I could do. So I was even though I didn't know who I was, you know, I knew what I had to experience. It was like part of every cell of my body, you know. That's the only time I was really happy. So, yeah.
So this goes on. This is so interesting because, you know, some of the stories that people tell about these types of experiences, you know, where they're basically dropped in. I think it's more of a drop in than a walk in. But but I'm sure that if the bulk of this was 10 years ago, and this is another interesting aspect to what's materializing in regard to the elimination or irrelevance of what we used to call time. Because you can have somebody have this type of experience. We've had people on that technically without a walk-in or any type of situation prior like you're having, that woke up 2-3 years ago that are pulling in massive amounts of information and code and transmissions. But there has been kind of a loose template of almost every person that's come on this show, which involved this internal drive, which you're speaking of, and I can relate to this because that started for me like at about the same age, about 22. This unquenchable thirst for this type of information, which back then we had to go through books, right? And I read well over a couple thousand books. Had 3 different libraries, and
like
so.
the So I just want to say, so the Seth books. Did you read the Seth book? Seth, the Seth
Yes,
book. That was like one of my major.
Yeah, I pretty much read everything that you could. I don't know what the exact number was, but I'd say probably, let's just say roughly 2,400 books over about 20 years, maybe 25 years. When the internet came in, then I started backing away from actually reading books, and then I had a house full of kids and stuff. But yeah, I read a lot of it, and there was just a lot of different, the metaphysical, the self-help is how I started, the philosophies, the psychologies, the religions, the secret fraternities, and some of these obscure authors. I mean, Manly P. Hall, Secret of the Ages. So there was a lot of stuff there, but it's interesting to talk to somebody who was in it's the same time frame, But anyway, going back to what I was going to say is many of the people that have come on here have had a couple of things happen. One, I used to say, everyone told us we were crazy, but now crazy isn't crazy anymore, and all the crazy people hang out here. Okay, people that were being ridiculed and estranged from family and friends a few years ago are now having experiences where these people are coming back to them saying, hey, you were right about this. What else can you tell me, kind of thing. But there was that solitary walk. A lot of people have said that, written over the years. I didn't realize I wasn't the only one. Whether they're having experiences with the elemental kingdom or galactic or whatever the case is. And then with that, of course, comes this atypical lifestyle and generally an estrangement from family, and like the whole world drops. So I'm pretty sure that you fit the mold for that. You might even fit that on steroids. But at some point, you have this. Or why don't you take us to what happened 10 years ago? Is that when the seed was planted and the relationship began to gain more clarity from your perspective? In terms of the Galactics.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I saw this woman on YouTube. Her name is Christine Day, and she's called the Pleiadian ambassador, and she actually had face-to-face meetings at that time with Pleiadians, and so I started following her and doing her workshops with the Pleiadians, and they came in. And I started developing my relationship with them. And I did meditations I couldn't do them every day because when I do one of their meditations, I had to wait like 2 or 3 days because my body had to integrate what they helped my DNA. They activated my DNA. I mean, in a big way. And I just did that for years. And so I have a really substantial relationship with them now. In fact, I have a community on my land, and I have portals here that have been set up by Pleiadians and Lemurians as well, and they really work in tandem, and so the Pleiadians and Lemurians are really my guides, and are always here. I mean, and they're here right now with me, and just so I'm probably going to cry when I talk about this, but there's just so much love. It's unbelievable how much love they have, you know. So,
Absolutely.
and that's the same love that we have. And
Yeah.
because I'm a Lemurian priest, I'm remembering more and more how to feel, how to be able to feel this. And that's what my book is about. Is I demonstrate how I'm able to feel these energies, these interdimensional energies, and everything has them. The plants, the trees, even my house. You can see my wood house. The wood house is like alive with with their energy. And what they want, Todd, what they want from us is they want us to open to their love. That's their main message, is how to help us open to that love. And over the last like 2 weeks, I've been like crying like this all the time, not out of pain, but just my heart is just like so open. It's so
Yes.
vulnerable.
Well, I mean, and yes, and you know what? Don't feel like the Lone Ranger. Because if anybody's tuned into this show for the last 2 weeks, as we thread through it in the conversations, I'm always very open like you. There's something happening now. It's ramping up. And as my friend said last week, very tapped in lady, there's so many of them around the world. Everybody's experience is accurate. The stories are a little bit different. Even the ones that involve what you termed as interdimensional, I look at it a little bit differently, but, or at least the semantically speaking. But we've talked about this a few times. I've got memories of Atlantis. I've got memories of Lemuria and some other things. Not to the extent of some people I've met that have incredible full life recollections off planet, on planet, so on. But one thing I do remember very much about Lemuria is that it was very Eden-esque. It was a matriarchal system, a lot like the indigenous, with the grandmothers. And I remember that it was a very sensory environment. I remember the relationship with the physical body and the light body. I remember we could pop out of the body as we do, in dreamscape and in dimension and astral, that type of thing. But we could pop back into the body and, eat some coconuts and go swimming and, make love. And everything was so five sensory based, but it was in that original, you know what I'm talking about. I'm speaking to the choir here. But, and then I remember Atlantis being of a different element. It still wasn't like this density, but it wasn't as light or as versatile, you might say, or diverse as Lemuria. But I also remember when I guess how you would say, and I'm speaking narratively, when the invaders came in, when they came into Lemuria and everything flipped, and that was just my version of it. But so yeah, and then to have this happening to you in the last 2 weeks with what's been happening to me and other people I know, there seems to be a clear movement of this love you're talking about. Number one. Number two, at least in my experience and a couple other people I've talked to, I've been communing with the stars every night, which I commune with everything, but this has just popped in about 2 weeks ago. And a lot of it is about this history, this connection. And I'm asking every night, and they're basically saying, your memories are coming back now, everybody. Because as these memories come in, obviously our self-perception is going to alter dramatically, and I think that's what's been everything in recent, say 6,000, 12,000 years has been designed to keep us from this point, but it's inevitable now through efforts like yourself and those aspects that you work with and people that are doing the kind of work you're doing. So you've got the Pleiadian, and it's and then at some point you're asked to sit and record or write about this message from the Sirius star system. Is that right?
Well, it's Sirian Blue Star is like
Syrian
Sirius.
Blue Star.
Yeah, that's Sirius B, which most
Okay.
people
So
know
it's
that as
Sirius B. Okay. Sirius B. All right.
Yes. So I don't
Gotcha.
really have a Syrian connection per se, but I definitely Syrian Blue Star. I'll just call it Blue Star. Blue Star is like it's really guiding my life, and it has been. I didn't know this. I just found this. Well, here's what happened. So I saw this guy on YouTube. His name is George Kavasilis, and he was up on this. The U.S. Navy secret space program has these incredible spacecraft, and he went up on this ship and he was talking about it, and he said the ship is actually Blue Star consciousness. The ship is, I mean, and Blue Star propels the ship. There's no engines. There's nothing, and the Navy crewmen, they send love into Blue Star, and that's what propels the ship. And these are human beings. These aren't extraterrestrials, right?
Yeah.
So when I heard that, and a couple of days later, in a vision, Blue Star came to me and pulled me up on one. I was up on one of the ships that George had been talking about, and I know that's why I saw George do that, because I was ready to go, you know. And it brought me up on the ship, and I was again so overwhelmed by the love of the crewmen and also by Blue Star that was piloting, that was, you know, the consciousness of the star. It isn't like a metal craft. I mean, it's live consciousness. And so that was about 2 or 3 years ago. And then and then it was directing my book too. I don't know if I would call it channeling. It wasn't really channeling, but it was giving me the ability to communicate with Solaris, our sun, with planets, with the Earth, with everything. It was really increasing my ability. And then in July, when Three Eye Atlas came in, Blue Star told me that it was Three Eye Atlas. Blue Star was Three Eye Atlas, and its whole intention of coming in to the solar system was to provide to give disclosure. They wanted to show something to the world that they would argue what it said, argue the possibilities, and that's exactly what they did. I don't know if you followed, but even mainstream science, I mean, everyone was all over this thing, you know, as far as what it was. A lot of people just kept saying it was a comet, but of course it wasn't. This is a live ship, and it kept doing really anomalous. It kept doing anomalous things that nobody could. I mean, it would change color instantly. It would go behind the sun, and when it came out, it was hotter than the sun was, and they could tell by its color. It was a blue color, which indicates heat. And then it cooled down. I mean, it was just doing really bizarre things. But that's what it wanted to do. But a second thing it was doing, Todd, it was raising the vibration, the frequency of the whole solar system. There's a lot of inhabitants in our solar system that live on other planets, Venus and Jupiter and Mars even. But it was raising the consciousness of all the inhabitants, but also all the planets and all the satellites are all raising in consciousness. And that's why we're experiencing this incredible upgrade now, you know, since July. It's just been increasing steadily. And even February, right now, we're in this even another higher raise from February 4th to the 20th. We're in this, again, you know, raising of energy, vibrational presence. And that's going to keep going until April 27. Blue Star told me this. When it's coming back in April 27, George or Todd, and when it comes back in April, it said the whole solar system and the Earth will be totally transformed into fifth dimensional um, existence.
Yeah.
Humanity is what. So,
Go ahead. No, there's a lag.
oh, I was just going to say that 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 aware. I mean, and that's exactly what I see happening, Todd. Everything is just increasing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
happening everywhere, all around the planet. And
Yeah, this.
so,
I mean, and this is another. You know, this is another thing that's been happening. It's nice to do the show because, you do this many shows over 8 or 9 years, and you can kind of through the words you can see the evolution real time what's happening. And you're right. This started last summer, and it was interesting the conversations that we would have around it, and also the statements, the prophecies, predictions, etc., prognostications that came with it. I like what you said. Their first objective in coming into the area, basically to get people thinking, because there were so many different, hey, there's 4 million Anunnaki soldiers and in their portal things or whatever you call them, that they're going to be unleashed, and there are all these different things. And I have many great friends that come on the show, and one of them is Raylene Brady. She's as tapped in as any of these sisters, and that's saying a lot. And we were talking about it, and I forget what she said. She said, "Yeah, and they're all right. Every one of them's right. Every one of them's accurate." And that speaks to the direction of awareness and consciousness that we're coming into, which is, if you compare to what we have now, even those of us who are having these conversations, it's infinitesimal to what we actually are going to be introduced to here. You know what I mean? Like the level of knowing, having all the past life memories, having the information that you're talking about with other people, other species, other human family, even humanoid family, and otherwise throughout this galaxy. We're not even talking about beyond it. But so that I think is, and then the other thing that I find that's important to mention too is that there have been many people that have basically spoken to this same timeline, going back to 2019 with my brother who transitioned physically, Franco De Nicola. We did 52 shows together. He is the most tapped in person I've ever met. What I mean by that is in terms of his personal experience and the information he was given as a result of it. And so this is a guy who was part of the architectural team setting up this quadrant of the galaxy of 4 quadrants. He was like you. He was dropped in a few times to kind of examine things, but this last life he had was the only life that he ever had here. Where he was here from start to finish. Anyway, right before COVID, let me say, this is actually 2021. Okay, and I remember him telling us in the fall. This is the timeline. It was the first time I'd heard it come out of someone's mouth that it wasn't a Dolores Cannon or an Edgar Cayce or some other prediction that had a little bit more mileage. But they talk about this. If you look at Chris Bledsoe, his retelling of what he's been told by the lady follows this same timeline, April 27, okay, or thereabouts, right? So there's definitely something to it, and I think that part of this Three-Eye Atlas thing, I like to hear what else that you have with it, that that's actually the perfect explanation to me. It came in to make us think. If you look at each one of us as an individual consciousness, so to speak, we had something come in out of nowhere, right? So that alters everything within that field. And that's really what we're being given here. So even when you talk about the sentient aspect of what we call spaceships, that is the reality, and that's been accounted many, many times in whistleblower transmissions and testimonies. So, what I love about the feel of you and your book and your energy is it's not this doom and gloom thing. The narration, the narrative, the growth, the evolution that got us to this point may have had all that stuff in there, good, bad, ugly, and different. and maybe it stays with us to some extent that we can't quite comprehend and put together. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how we got here. The emphasis now is on this event that has been prophesized and predicted. Many different schools of thought, both of the earth and otherwise. See Barbara Marciniak, bringers of the dawn, right? The Pleiadians, and many others like the lady.
And the Hopi. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going to get to too. So, I think there's a reason that you're coming out now, and I'll just end it like this. I'm going to put my mic down and let you roll with this. But 2 nights ago, I have a lot of lucid dreams, and that's where I get a lot of my information. And they really ramped up about 2 weeks ago. So did my crying spells. So don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I did it on the show for a whole day with 2 shows. But I had this dream, and so my lineage that's been shown to me over and over and over is Sirius. You know, through that star system I was telling you about that I was looking at. You know, Orion, all the stuff that happened there. I went to Aldebaran, and then eventually started to kind of collaborate with Pleiades, and then come down. And so that was where I'm at now in Mexico, the Mayan, Aztec, Mesoamerica, the southern Texas, indigenous, right up into the Four Corners, the Hopi, et cetera, et cetera. So I know that line is there. And I know there's a relationship. So I'm having this lucid dream, 10, 11 hours of it. The last one I have is I'm the spokesman of a tribe, an indigenous tribe. There is an antagonistic tribe that's come in that's more kind of like Atlantis, more masculine, more warlike. And so I sit down to negotiate with their leader, who was a woman. Okay, and so it results in their acceptance and understanding or ability to be able to take on and through our connection, our open heart, and they dropped their weapons, and at that time there was a shift, and my tribe dematerialized, went to another timeline, another dimension. The tribe that stayed jumped a timeline within the same dimension, and given all this new knowledge, new technology, sound familiar? You know, through the history, this was kind of what happened. But the thing that really kind of accentuated the whole thing was the presence of the star family. It was the presence of the Sirians were there, the Pleiadians were there, reptilians were there. They were all there. And so I think that was significant, given the time period that it's happened. So I really feel like this is a good time for your stuff to come out. Where do you want to start with the content of your book? You talked about how you reach that state on a personal level. A lot of the people that have had these experiences, they're given guidance to the purpose or a purpose or some of the purposes of their life while they're here in form. It's not just to awake, but actually apply that. So anywhere you want to start, I'm going to put the mic down and let you roll here.
Okay. Well, I'll actually start by saying that after the book is printed now, and I'm waiting for it to arrive from Korea. It's supposed to be here at the end of February. But in the meantime, I had a PDF, and that's what I sent to you, Todd. And so I was starting, and I didn't want to put it on Amazon. This book is not an Amazon book. This is not a third dimensional book. But I was planning this marketing campaign, and Blue Star came in and said, no. It said, you're not selling this book. He said, you're giving it away. I started crying. He said, imagine if someone receives this book as a gift, because this is a gift from the Creator. This is you see, when Blue Star came in as 3i Atlas, it was bringing what it called creation codes, and these creation codes come directly from the Creator, and they turn us into creators. so that we can manifest whatever our heart's desire is, right? And so that's what I've done with this book. This book is a total manifestation of my heart, and it's fifth dimensional. It is not a third dimensional book. And so I ordered 500 copies of this, and I'm going to be giving every one of them away with the book. And so after we're done, Todd, or maybe you can put on YouTube or something, you can put my email address, and people can send me an email if they want the book, and I'll even pay for shipping. And so the whole point is this book is going to be the transforming, the curriculum to move into the fifth dimensional reality, because that's what the book is. I go through step by step all the different things that I do, how I connect with different energies in my body, how I use meditation. Meditation is a big thing. Where's my crystal? I have a Vogel crystal here somewhere. Anyway, I have a Vogel crystal, and do you know what that is, Todd? Have you ever heard of a Vogel crystal?
No.
No?
I'm putting up your email right now, and I'll do it again later. But I think this is just on YouTube. I have to go back to Facebook. Go ahead.
So this is the Vogel crystal.
That looks like somewhat like a Lemurian.
Well, it is.
Clear crystal,
It is. The Lemurians definitely use it, but Pleiadians use it too.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
it's been used. They've been using it forever. And it is clear quartz is the purest substance in the universe.
Okay.
In the universe, not just on our planet, but it's a universal item. And then the design, the bottom aspect is the feminine energy. It's a feminine angle, 52 degrees, which is the same as the Giza pyramid. And then the top angle is the masculine energy.
Okay.
And then there's what's called a singularity point in the middle. But that is that's one of my major tools. And in the book I share what that crystal is and teach people a little bit how to use it. But they really need to learn it in a live interaction to really get it. But so getting back to
well, that'll give people time to commit.
Interaction. That this book has to be given to people and it's true. Whenever someone asks me for the book, it's just like I start crying, and that's my Lemurian heart.
Yeah.
That's so excited about giving this gift. This gift from the Creator to other human beings. I mean, that's why my life has been very difficult on this planet, and that's why I'm here. And this is so rewarding to now have this fruitful time of giving and just sharing the Lemurian consciousness, what we call the Lemurian heart, which is just being in that state of love. So anyway, so that's so I wanted to share that about the book, so people can get an understanding about how.
We've already got two of them that said they want it.
Cool.
And again, I think this speaks to, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. Like there's definitely something happening, and I love the fact that they pointed out to you that this is beyond the Earth. There's a solar system wide, galaxy wide. This is a universal
in the whole universe. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it's so crazy because of the human incarnation having the type of programming and conditioning that we've had, and coming out of it and actually influencing things, you might say, through our personal evolution, our personal expansion, and a growing alignment with our free will, with universal will. This discovery through the shadows of our lives, and so on and so on, and the rectification of all that. It's all tied together, and it's wild. So I see it as like you and so many others that I know. There's a lot of people doing this. In other words, there's a lot of people getting their piece, bringing in their piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? But yet it's uniform. It's everywhere. Different stories, different star systems, different narratives, different situations. You're walking at 21. Somebody else may have been born from day one, or whatever the case is. But we're coming to a head here, and it really feels resonant accurate and aligned that between now and the spring of next year, this is it. We're not. It's not coming. It's here. We're in it now, right?
Yeah, we are, yes. Yes, we are. Exactly. So, let's see. I think, yeah, let me talk a little bit about the book first. So the, where to start? So, one of the things I mentioned a few minutes ago was that what all these beings, our sun, the planets, the first dimensional energy of each planet and star is its heart energy. It's its power center. That's where their energy emanates from there. And the Earth has had an iron core crystal core, but it's no longer iron. It's transforming into a solar crystalline core. And with that it's breaking up the crust of the Earth. That's why the Pacific Rim is really, very active. All the volcanoes and the earthquakes that are happening on the Pacific Rim, and yet Blue Star has told me that this will not be catastrophic. They will not they will not let that happen, and that there will be the breaking of the crust and there will be expansion, but it will be contained. I mean, there will be different some places. I mean, they will happen like it's happening in Italy and it's happening in Hawaii, and but a really good example of that is Yellowstone. Like the cauldron in Yellowstone is so huge. If that's been really, people have been scared of that for years. But if that ever blew, the whole planet would be inhabitable. You couldn't. It would just total cover the Earth with ash. That's how big that sucker is. So Blue Star told me that no, this is not going to happen. But it made me what it calls star emissary, which means that I am the star's main representative on the planet. And so a couple days ago, I was resting in bed, and all of a sudden, Blue Star comes into my consciousness, and when it does, it's just like I get this. I don't get it in my heart. I get it more in my what I call my 0 point, which is just below the solar plexus, and I get this intense energy that's like love. It's love, and but it's power, and so it's sending all this energy into me, Todd, and this is and it knows that I'm living in the Pacific Northwest, and I live right on a fault line. I live in the they call it the Cascadian fault or something like. I can't remember what the word is, but they call it, and it's very, people are really afraid of it, But it told me, it said that's why you're there. He said you are there because it's your responsibility to settle those energies. He said that's the power that you have to do that now, just like you had in Lemuria. And so when it sent those energies, and I sent it down into the Earth, all the way down into its core, and had this incredible connection with Mother Earth at her core. And again, Todd, I sobbed for 30 minutes. I mean, I didn't want to stop. It was so cleansing and so beautiful, but it was a little bit uncomfortable because I'm not used to sobbing like that, but it was amazing.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, it's like a mirror. Just real quick, I just got to tell you, because I guess it's sharing code, right? So I go to the beach every night. I live in a little authentic town in Mexico, very, very authentic, not westernized. And I go to the beach every night after I get through with the shows, and do what you do. I have to have an hour there. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours, but usually about an hour and a half. And in the last 2 weeks, and I've had this before, but not like it's happened in the last 2 weeks, which basically is it's exactly what you're describing. I'm sinking my feet into the sand, into Mother, communing with her, and then and I visited the center many times, but this was, it was, as you're describing, it was this anchoring of this pure white light and it was like a cycle started, or something started. You know, in other words, it was like the center, almost like the center of the toroidal, right? So it's coming up from her and going down to her at the same time, like re-looping around. But I just laughed when you said that. And then, of course, I remember writing my wife a couple of times, and I said, "Hey, I just got back. I've been crying for 3 straight hours." She's like, 3 straight hours? I'm like, "Yeah, 3." And then the next night it was like 2 hours. And I'm walking around and my eyes are all puffy and everything. But you're right. It wasn't like, it wasn't painful. It was, I can't even explain it. The closest thing I could explain it would be if I look at my children, like memories of my children, or if I walk down the boardwalk and I see a father holding a kid, on his shoulders and another one by the hand, and you just go, oh my God, but times 100,000. Yeah, go ahead. Thanks for letting me. I'll put these. I'm just to answer these folks. I'm putting his email up. If you look on the comments, Joanne and Sabrina, and I'll put it up again now. Go ahead, Bliss.
And then also, Todd, put on there the. Do you have the link that I sent you for the PDF book?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I'm going to put it up right, but I'll go ahead and put just the link up for the PDF. It'll be easier that way. They can just click right on it, right?
Yeah, and well, they can't get the book on. They only get the PDF on the book, on the PDF link, and then put in the password Lemuria with a capital L.
Okay, let me handle that. Go ahead, keep going.
And so let me just say something about that first. So I can send them they're going to get the PDF link from you right now, but they won't get the book, and I won't get them till the end of the.
We'll handle it after the shows. That's no problem.
Okay. So so where was I? So I'm realizing, Todd, especially after. I mean, every time Blue Star puts me through one of these incredible interactions, then I realize how, because sometimes I question, I can affect the Earth core, it's like, that's kind of arrogant, but it's not my ego that's realizing this, it's my heart. I mean, and I have that ability to do that. I'm capable of influencing the Earth. And again, I can do that because of my Lemurian history. This is what I've done for thousands and thousands of years on Lemuria, and then I lived in Telos, the Telosian city under Mount Shasta. I lived there for 12,000 years as a high priest there.
So would you say that that was in line with the timeline of like the flood, like the Younger Dryas event? So you went underground essentially from because this is your first time walking on the earth in this contemporary time. Is that what you were saying? Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
But actually, I have been in a 3D body before. Like, I know I was with Mary Magdalene and Jesus. I know she has come to me and told me that. I didn't have memories, but she came. But anyway, so Todd, what happened 12,000 years ago when the continent sank, when the Lemurian and Atlantean continents sank, we knew it was going to happen, and 25,000 of us went into Mount Shasta, and we created Telos, the city under Mount Shasta, 25,000 of us. And we had planned on getting like 1 million people off the continent, but it happened overnight, and we weren't able to save any of the people. So so that's when we started the Telosian city, and we started rebuilding the Lemurian peoples, and that was 12,000 years ago. So.
Let me ask you something. If they've covered this, or I'm just curious, intrigued. Given what you've told us about 3i Atlas, even going back to what you're talking about now, the historical account that's been given to you, you could say, and what you've experienced and so on. In your communications with that consciousness, the Blue Star consciousness, having been given the information of what's coming, which is beyond any of our comprehension of how incredible it's going to be, you know what I mean? Do they speak? Have they spoken in regard to our perspective of the doom and gloom, the cycles of catastrophe, the things that seem to kind of sensationalize ascension narratives? In other words, in this flip of consciousness or this expansion into a higher timeline you're calling 5D, is all of that egoic, judgmental thought, all that lower level vibrational energy, because we know thoughts are things, is it just all going to be neutralized, or is it all going to become irrelevant? I look at it sometimes like this, and maybe this is what you're going to tell us, but it's almost like when you get to a certain level of consciousness and you realize, and I think this is happening now for people. We had a great conversation yesterday with a friend on the show, is that you realize, first of all, that everything is you, truly connected, see quantum entanglement, but that also there's nothing personal against anything or anyone, because it was all subjected to the same conditioning, propaganda, and, brainwashing, basically. Do they speak to that? Do they speak to, like, the human questions of why is there war? Why is God allowing this type of thing and all that stuff? Is this stuff that's just going to kind of go away?
Yes, because that's all third dimensional energy, all of it.
Okay,
and
then
the Earth is moving out of that.
Right. And then how about how about, like, even with this the retelling of Telos, trying to get 1 million people there? You know what I mean? In other words, addressing the question of survival or even death. Okay. On one hand, I can see that and I can feel it, almost like remember it. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, well, why? What difference does it make? My life is as a soul, not as one particular incarnation, like in this case, Todd. It's one. That's like 1 year in my life or something like that. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, do they speak of this? Do they? Are we just ignorant about it? Is it unimportant, or is it important? The things that we do, the lives that we live. Can you speak to that?
Well, the 3D lives that we have been living, we have to move beyond that. And again, that's exactly, and the way we do that is by raising our vibration, by not living in the ego anymore. Because the ego runs almost everyone's life, like 95% or 100%. It ran my life a lot of the time, except when I was in meditation. But when I would have stressors, when I'd have money stressors or health stressors or all the different stressors that I'd have in life, family, then it was really hard to be in that high. It was impossible to be in that high vibration. And so they have made my life now that I don't have those stressors. I don't have what I had before. And so I'm more able to live in this high vibration almost all the time. And so that's what they're creating on the planet. Like, there is a lot of stuff happening, like in the Middle East and all this stuff, like that.
Yeah, of course. That's what and this is why, and I'm not stuck on those things. I'm just trying to get somewhere of a greater understanding. But it's like, okay, I'd start with this. It's a chicken and the egg, I think. But is it them doing it? Are we doing it? Are they one and the same thing? Like during that time, of Three Eye Atlas, and a lot of people were coming on about it, I was having lucid dreams about it. And there was one 3-night episode where it culminated that we were on the ship and we were coming. Again, life is a metaphor, right? I mean, we know we can't explain it in the literal linear fashion of the human only perspective, the 2 eyes versus the 3, right? But that we were coming to unite with our physical aspects, so to speak. And again, that's not a literal thing. it would fit into what you spoke of earlier. But I'm just curious, in your own experience with what they've told you, like even in the comment you just made, you said that you've been a walk-in at 21. You had this desire to expand your consciousness, which you pursued, and then about 10 years ago, you start to have these very seminal moments, a seminal moment in your life, and you start to move into a higher consciousness or a higher vibration. Let's put it that way. During that 10 years, did you have times when you were, as you were saying, I guess prisoner to the ego, you know what I mean, where the ego was running things? Did you go through these things and consciously bring them into a higher alignment by figuring out or catching yourself or that type of thing? Like people talk about shadow work a lot, right? And we discover things from our past traumas and all that. The reason I say this is because a lot of people will look at someone like you and they'll say, wow, he can do that, I can't do it. But I have a feeling that you've had a very human experience, because you also made the comment that it hasn't been easy having the knowledge that you've had. And again, so many people have come on this show and said, I don't belong here. I know I'm from somewhere else, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't easy, Todd, not because I had this knowledge. It wasn't easy because I had a very violent childhood. See, all the memories that this person had before I came in, all those memories were in my body when I took it over, all that emotional memory. So I had to heal all that pain. And what happened 10 years ago when I discovered the Pleiadians, in a big way in my life, was I activated my DNA. And that's what brought about the changes. Without the DNA being activated, you can't change. You can't move into a higher vibration. It's a totally different world, And I was motivated, compelled to activate my DNA. And they had these amazing tools, meditation tools of sound and images and visualizations that they used when they elevated their consciousness into fifth, because they weren't fifth dimensional, all the time either. About 1 million years ago, I think they became more fifth dimensional. But they had this, and their bodies are a lot like ours. So they have very similar DNA that we do. And so they knew exactly what we needed in order to transform our DNA from physical, the double helix physical DNA, into quantum DNA. And that's when you talk about the toroidal field, Todd, when the quantum DNA is flowing, it turns into this it's very uniform. Most people DNA, it's all scattered, right? So when it's when you elevate your DNA, the toroidal field turns uniform, almost perfect. And there's pictures of this on the HeartMath website, and those aren't just images that someone drew up. Those are actually scientific devices that measure the DNA, and it also changes its color, so it changes it to a blue and to golds and to purples.
Yes, they've got some great, and also the way they can measure scientifically the field of the heart.
Yes,
coherence.
Exactly.
Let me ask you real quick though. I just want to get this point down. So essentially, what you're saying is, I think, is like others I know, and even myself, the information is given. The information is offered. Sometimes we're asked, do we want to accept this? Are we ready for this? Are we willing to do this? But are they doing it for us? Are we doing it for ourselves? My experience has been the information is given to you, but we still have to do the work, so to speak. Like in your case, you were given this information, but you activated your DNA. Right? Yeah. So that's why I always say it's like a chicken and the egg thing. But one thing I am noticing more and more and more, which is so wild when it comes to what does that geometry and math look like, because it's not the same language we've been using, is is when that activation occurs, however we want to describe it, our heart opens more, however you want to describe it, there's a mutual immediate reaction in terms of the external, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're manifesting, and we're doing it, Todd. They are not doing it for us. They can't.
Yeah.
All they can do is guide us. So, and but see, Todd, what's so challenging for humans on the planet is that people are so stressed out. There's so much stress in people's lives, and so their bodies are producing cortisol and adrenaline all the time, even when they sleep. People are stressed out and they get up and they go to work, they take care of the family, they do all these things. And if you're dealing with cortisol and adrenaline, you cannot elevate your consciousness. It's impossible. No one can. I can't. If I have a really stressful moment, I lose my connection to my heart. It's the body doesn't work that way. The body cannot function on a high level when it's got cortisol and adrenaline pumping in the system. It's all about survival. And so that's why that has to change on the planet first, because people will not be able to do what's in my book as long as they're in stress. And the intention of these higher dimensional beings is to change what's happening on the planet so that every person on the planet is taken care of with food, shelter, clothing, finances, everything they need, so that they do not have to worry about anything. Total safety.
Yeah,
That's where we're going.
It's like the true mother's energy, where every child is loved the same, taken care of. But so let me ask you this, all right? Casey Cannon, my friend Franco, many others. I mentioned Chris Bledsoe with his transmission, which is all kind of falling in line with what you're talking about with April of 27. If they can't do it for us, and it's a chicken and the egg thing, that means that we still got to do it, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Now, maybe we should use it, these projections, let's say, if these projections are accurate based on our current space and time and the trajectory that we're on and the information we're getting, it looks like, from the work I've done for the last 15 years, it looks like, yes, there's a congealment here that's occurring. There's a coalescing of you might say a single timeline even, as these memories come back and as these connections come online with each one of us individually in our own way. What are we supposed to do between now and then? Because there has been an element through galactic transmissions that I've seen over the years. I don't see them so much anymore, but kind of a carrot on a stick. Like, we're getting there. Keep going. What are we supposed to do from now till then? You know what I mean? Like what I'm trying to say is, if it's inevitable and it's happening, I guess, sometimes you ask a question, by the time you finish the question, you get the answer. But I guess it really comes down, it must come down and again, how do you, the chicken and the egg, micro, macro, as within, without. But I guess it really comes down to use human terms, the integrity that we lead our life by virtue of every single thought, word, and action, by the devotion we have to further expansion, by the also displayed by our willingness to be more open than we were a moment before or a day before to more and more information. I mean, what do you feel like is, if this is the track we're on and this is coming into focus and it really feels like that this is inevitable, and I don't mean people go out and get drunk and disorderly or put their feet up on the desk, because I don't think the universal energy will let you do that anyway. But what do we do from now till then? Just better ourselves, refine ourselves, clear ourselves up, develop a deeper connection. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Todd, that's a really simple answer. stay out of the ego as much as possible. And by staying out of ego, it's staying out of the world of duality. So duality isn't just bad things, it's even good things. Like, say, when people get really happy that, like, I live in Seattle, so everyone's happy about the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, right? So people get really happy when something good happens. And then when your team loses, what do? They go down. So you have to stay out of being happy that something good is happening. It doesn't mean that you don't appreciate the beauty of things. That's not the good. That's not good versus bad. That's beyond good and bad. But say one of your plants dies, and you still, to deal with your plant dying, you go into your heart. You don't go into reactivity and get mad and feel this loss and pain. You go, no, this is this is I have to heal this plant if I can, and I go into my heart. And that's the key. How do we stay out of duality of good and bad, which is the ego, which is what runs almost everyone's lives on the planet? And how do we get above that and we be in heart coherence? Because heart coherence, that's the answer. As much as we can be in heart coherence, then we can benefit from the vibration that's happening on the planet. And so that means, that means getting, there's one more thing, Todd. That means stopping habits of whether drinking alcohol, whether overeating, whether eating junk food, eating anything that's harmful to your body, whether it's watching some violent movie or eating bad food or whatever it is, anything that's harmful to your body, you have to stop those things, and to treat your body as something sacred and only give it things that will bring life to it and will not harm it. That's like really key things.
Okay. Yeah, I could go into that one a bit. Because there does, regardless of the physical influences, I'm talking physical influences in a person's human day-to-day life, okay? Regardless of their physicality, degree of physicality or not, it's energy. It's energy. It's every bit of its energy. And I don't know, that feels to me a bit judgmental, a bit constricting, but that's okay.
What's
just the you have to do this and you have to do that thing. And I've said this for years, and I'm not, I don't want to go into the details of it. I wanted to go somewhere with it. I just wanted to make this point of why. Why are these happening? Okay, so let's just take a common headline today. Why are these things playing out now? And I'm just going to use an example. I'm not political. This is energy, folks. Why is, it's not really Epstein, but why is that whole secreted information coming out to show itself now? Why is that necessary? What does that mean to us? Is that part of us? Am I part of that? Is there something to be said versus what I eat or what I do, or do I exercise or do I not, or whatever? Is there something to be said for that, and something to the same degree or more to be said for our thoughts, our association or disassociation with events, people, places that we feel are separate from us? Okay, so I'm just trying to.
So when someone sees something about the Epstein situation, right? How do you react to that? Do you react to that as with hatred and anger and disgust for Epstein, or do you react to having compassion and love for the people that have suffered? See, it's how you react to that, Todd.
No, I get that, but it goes further. Like, okay, I have compassion. Obviously, you'd have to be crazy not to have compassion, for these people. I had a lady on here from Australia years ago that part of her guidance was a purpose of working with sex trafficking victims. And we started talking, and she started telling me about this one lady who was taken like at 9 years old and escaped at like 20 and then recaptured at 24 and then finally got away like at 28. And I said to her, what are these people like? She said, they are the most compassionate, loving people you will ever meet. When that lady walked in my office, she had nothing but compassion for her victimizers. So with that in mind, do I have compassion for the victims? Absolutely, I do. But do I have compassion for the victimizers? It has to be equal. Oneness is oneness. And so that's where I'm going with this. What I've seen is, and part of this is because of the show, I've seen this kind of evolution occurring since last summer, particularly picking up in September, where the have-tos and the need-tos are going away. There's something else coming in, a language of that high. Imagine having fits and spurts into the 5D and you drop back, kind of like what you're talking about with the ego. You have these periods and then you come back, and then you have these periods and you come back. There's something about this existing paradigm that we are coming out of and that we're transforming that it's almost like that saying of you're not going to move to the next space until you're grateful for the space that you're in. And so exactly. It's almost like an initiation. Like you can't go through that Stargate because the two dragons that are guarding it won't let you go through until you're pure. And that purity seems to be pointing a direction of merging or integrating the vast extremes of the spectrum, whatever subject matter it is, in this polarity that is accentuated by the duality. So you don't just have polar extremes, you have multiple infinite variations, or you could say alternate timelines based on the way we did react to these extremes, choosing one side or another, or so on. So I guess, what I'm trying to say is that maybe, again, it goes back to that question I asked you, what do we do from here to now? I guess ultimately we're bringing it all to the center, to the 0 point, like you were talking about. Is that right?
Yeah. And Todd, I want to clarify, the ego is not bad. There is nothing bad about the ego. I mean, without it, we would not have survived. I mean, it's an amazing survival tool. Without it, we wouldn't even be able to live in this reality. So it's not about hating it or, it's about getting it to move to the background so that it's not running the show. That's the key. You want the heart running the show, not the ego.
Right, exactly, of course. But what I'm saying is, do you feel that there is a prerequisite for an individual and or the earth to get to this point of perspective, or seeing through the soul's eyes, accepting the victimizer and the victim as one?
Do I think there's a, what about that? I think that
there's a prerequisite for us to get to this point in April of 27 that you speak of. That in other words, there's no shortcuts, there's no exceptions. Any energy that's going to enter this new space has to be clean of all the stuff, all the nasty stuff or all the imbalances or however you want to put it, in order to enter that space. Or is that space inevitable?
Okay, I can answer that.
Yeah.
So what will happen between now and April 27, the next 14 months, that it will be easier and easier for people to move out of ego because, again, stressors are going to be taken away. And when those stressors are taken away, it's going to really help tremendously. And all someone has to do is, and I think because of the frequency, the vibration on the planet that's going to be gradually increasing every day, it's going to be raising in vibration and impacting people, that eventually, I don't know at what point, but at some point, people are going to start to realize what's happening. And once they realize and become conscious of it and can actively start working to move into this higher vibration. But no one's going to have to be, I have to be this level or that level before I'm going to be effective, No.
Well,
everyone.
I don't know. I mean, the way I understand the universe in this incarnation and otherwise is what goes around comes around. There is a balance to it. Now, in this realm, there's been a vast interference and distortion, which is unprecedented based on the things I picked up in terms of the last, you might say, 12,000 years. But I guess what I'm saying is that is it inevitable that everyone is going to wake up? Here, let me give you another example. Some people come on the show and they say no one will be left behind. Now, what that means, you could take in different context and different perceptions or perspectives. Some people say that not everyone's going to make it. I mean, we're eternal souls. We live forever, so we know that's kind of a moot point in terms of death being even a question. But what I'm saying is that is this a window of opportunity? Let's forget about being human beings for a second. Is this a window of opportunity, might even say a rare window of opportunity from this point forward till approximately April of 27 for a soul to have substantial growth? Or maybe it's some type of upper echelon PhD, cosmic, galactic kind of opportunity that's not necessarily there every single day, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So people are, between now and April, they're going to be everyone's going to be having awakening experiences, again, because of what's happening on the planet, Todd. And there might be some people, everyone has free will. There might be some people that say, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to live that reality. And they will have that opportunity. Apparently they'll be taken off planet, or I don't know if there will be a 3D Earth that still remains, but other people will be on a 5D. I don't know exactly what the arrangement will be, but everyone has free will. But I think when most people see what's possible, where we're moving, and how much peace and love and freedom and lack of stress and love, compassion, that's the normal. I think when almost everyone will see that and they'll want that. But I don't know. I don't know how each person will.
Yeah, I think I got you now. Yeah. I think I got it. This is my own simplified head. But I think essentially what you're saying is that if I just say it from my own eyes, okay, that those people that seem to be having these conversations or be in these circles, such as you, such as me, and such as the guest and the people that have been part of this community for so many years, many of them, if not all of them, can fully accept what you're saying in regard to what's happening and how things are lessening and how their ego is moving into the proper place and they're able to sustain and expand from a higher state of awareness or consciousness. And I feel like what you're saying is, to me, probably the best explanation right now, which is those people who are not having these conversations, who are not running in these circles, many of those people every day are going to start coming into the same revelations, epiphanies, self-awareness that we have. It's just that on the linear timeline, this is how it rolls out. It's not all in one blink of an eye, even though cosmically it probably is, right? So that would be a summation of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because when they start to connect with the heart, Todd, they move out of the linear timeline. Because the linear timeline is the ego. And so moving out of the linear timeline and starting to experience a tree talking to them, or, a star communicating with them, or, having in a dream, having a vision or whatever it is, there will be so many ways that their guides, or the multidimensional beings that are guiding them, that most people don't even know are there. Their higher self, is like the main one, that they will start to experience that energy of their higher self and realize that, this is an aspect of myself that's guiding me and that's telling me I should do this rather than do this, And so they start to follow the higher self guidance rather than the ego guidance.
So that makes sense. I can visualize this now. So like if I just look at my own life and the things that have happened in the last few months, and I've talked about it on this show, walking through an authentic town, like I would have something on my mind, and then all of a sudden my soul would come in and say, would you just take a breath here, look around, this is you. This is you. And again, it's a chicken and the egg. Is it, oh my God, I walk into town, sometimes I go, oh my God, this town is like 5D paradise. Like everywhere I look, I see smiles, and then it'll come in like, "Oh, is it you?" But I think there's also, it's important to mention what you said about just the way things unfold, because going to the beach every night, and I've talked about this, the paranormal, psychic phenomena aspect, 5D-ish, or whatever you want to call it, has been coming in louder and louder and louder and louder, and it carries its own geometry, own math, own language. And it's funny, I talked about this last night, but I had this one bird that when I go out there will come and stand before me for the last 2 weeks. And I would be like, because I've been having more conscious connection with animals over these months, right? But it's not like I'm hearing words. So this went on for about 2 weeks, and about 3 or 4 days ago, I go, "Oh, wait a minute, you're masculine. I know you. Is it soul monad? Is it soul family? Is it galactic? You know, kind of thing." Because I've had that happen before, and it just kind of fluttered its wings in its own way and said, "Just shut up, turn it off, and just stare at me." And by God, that I can't explain it, but it's happening now every time, right? Yes. To the point of humor. So I feel like that what you're saying is, and it's great, this description, in our own way, as an individual fractal, many of us, certainly starting to see each other over the last few years, are experiencing this, you might say, this space in between, okay, as it will occur collectively. And this is not just involving, well, this is involving the effects of a wider and wider, more open heart, which is being able, well, you're turning on, like you're talking about, whether you want to call it, turning on the DNA, turning on the higher sensitivities and skills and abilities. Do you feel that we'll be multi-locational teleportation? Those, I do. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like that will come after the April of next year, or do you feel like, in the vein of what we're talking about, some folks will be kind of the preview of what's coming, right?
Yeah, some people will definitely be able to move into that, have those more interdimensional abilities to transition from physical place to physical place, because we'll be in fifth dimensional. When we are in fifth dimensional reality, Todd, then you can do whatever the F you want. You can do that. I mean,
you can drop. This is Soulogy. You can drop F-bombs here.
Are you can?
So, and I'm just going to get off of this one, but I just want to ask this one last thing. Then I got to go turn the beans off before I burn the house down. Really, all these boogie monsters, all these faces and symbolism of the narrative and the fight between good and evil, and I'm not trying to lessen or minimize anything, but at the end of the day, we are souls, and those things that are being put out there to induce us to grab our attention and ultimately siphon our energy, you might say, are the same playbook that's been going on, and at the end of the day, they're benign. In terms of the physical, well, they're almost like a representation of the ego, right? Like you're talking about. And even those things will go into their proper place, I guess, and we'll have the proper perspective to see them for what they are. Something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to get together tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah, I could do. I'd love to.
Well, we've blown through an hour and a half, and
Todd, this is so wonderful. This is so.
Well, I'm loving this.
I've never had the ability to speak in this way with another person, like you and I are doing right now.
I think this is important. I believe, especially since last May, everything seemed to really turn on June 1st. And I saw it individually, and then I saw it happening with, these collaborators and brothers and sisters and such. But I really feel like more than ever, regardless of Three Eye Atlas, regardless of the Galactic Star Family, I've had this conversation with years. I call it a come to Jesus meeting with the universe. When the shit hits the fan, and you're like, "Hey, man, I'm down here doing the work." And but that we're the boots on the ground. And I will have a
Yes.
voice at this table. Like it makes no sense in the paradox of the universe. It does that the human, the most lowly one, the low spiritual consciousness on the totem pole is actually at the front of the wake, and the last vote of alignment or whatever. But that the greatest code we can be exposed to and or create is coming through all frequencies available where two or more gather. It's through the human to human and everything that comes with it. But, it's almost like the human is the last mask to be removed, and it's not that we're not human, but we're soul. So I enjoyed the conversations, and I think this one would be worthwhile to continue. We might as well do it tomorrow if you want to.
Sounds good. I'll be 12:30, same time. My time.
Let me look real quick. Is that a good time for you?
Yeah, any time's fine.
Let's do 1:30, just so I'm not.
1:30 Pacific time.
Yeah. So it'll be 4:30 tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern. We'll be back with our brother here. And who knows? We might do another one later in the week.
I got this. This is my job.
Well,
the
the other thing that's I think good about this is anyone that's been in these circles, and for me it's been 2012, and of course having the Soulogy group and being privy to the demographics. Which everybody knows back then 95% of the representation was feminine. And over the years it's kind of dropped down to like 70-30. A really interesting thing happened on the solstice in December. I checked these metrics every couple of weeks just to see if I can pick up any energetic trends or whatever. And something really wild happened. In those 28 days from the solstice, the percentage went 55% male and 45% female. Right now it's about 50-50. This is the Soulogy demographics. So what I'm saying is we've all knew, and you described it so well with the way that they love Pleiadians, the Sirian consciousness, Blue Star consciousness, and we made the remarks that that's the mother, that's the one that takes care of everybody. Like you said, everyone gets fed and clothed and housed and so on. But there seems to be, and so that voice that we had suppressed within the field and therefore within ourselves and in this realm, we might call the feminine, the mother, is come back online. But also there seems to be kind of like the second thought, we kind of forgot about it, is the true voice of the masculine energy. And so being in masculine form, I think there's some relevance to that. And that's what's exciting to me, because 9 out of 10 shows at least are sisters. And they do need to lead the way. They've led the way the whole time. But it's nice to hear this new voice, and I think there's something to be said for it. And I would encourage other men who are tapping into this type of heart coherence that's verbalizing through whatever that may be, through relationship with Galactic family or whatever purpose-driven thing there is. I would highly encourage it. Please contact me. Yeah. So thank you for opening this door, Bliss. I look forward to it.
Such a pleasure.
So we'll be back tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30, is that right? 1:30 Pacific. That's 9:30 London and 7:30 a.m. in Brisbane. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's 9:30 at night. 9:30 at night in London.
Yeah, London at night. Yeah, 5 hours. So it's 9:30 p.m. and then it's 7:30 a.m. in Brisbane the next day. So we'll be back tomorrow with our new beautiful brother and his message, and we'll talk more. We're just going to freestyle it like we always do here at Soulogy. We do have another show tonight. We're going to be doing soul jams with Ty Hudnall and Robert Evans. Join in if you want to have a little meditation, Soulogy style. It should be fun. And Bliss, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, Todd. Thank you
Okay.
so much. It's such an honor to be here with you and your viewers. Thank you so
And
much.
vice versa. Use the same link, and I'll meet you here tomorrow at 1:30. Okay.
I'll be there.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay.